Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the profound psychological difference between just performing manifestation techniques and actually becoming the identity that reality naturally conforms to. We're keeping this entirely out of the realm of the mystical, because honestly, it's deeply rooted in human psychology and subconscious conditioning. We'll be looking at exactly why so many people get trapped in endless cycles of effort with zero results, and how true, lasting transformation happens at the nervous system level.
We really need to start with this foundational question. Why is it that some people can recite affirmations for years and stay completely stagnant, while others seem to transform their entire reality in just a matter of months? Well, we're going to look closely at why mechanical rituals almost always fail, and why a true shift in your self-concept alters your life so rapidly, because it all comes down to where your focus actually is.
Section 1. The illusion of doing. This is all about action versus identity.
Looking at the surface layer, beginners almost always get trapped in this illusion that manifestation lives in the technique itself. The failed manifestor is completely addicted to action. They use vision boards, scripting, and journaling to frantically beg reality for outcomes. But a pro manifestor operates from a totally different paradigm. They know manifestation lives in identity. So they use those exact same tools, but solely to stabilize their own internal state.
It really boils down to this. The failed manifestor obsesses over outcomes. The pro manifestor obsesses over identity. Think about it. Most people are trying to force reality to change while remaining psychologically identical to the exact same person who created their old reality in the first place. Moving on to Section 2, Emotion Beneath the Action, Conviction versus Desperation. Imagine affirming abundance while internally rehearsing fear. You can repeat the phrase, "I am wealthy," thousands of times before you go to sleep. But if you secretly anticipate failure or you internally panic every time you check your bank account, your subconscious only hears the desperation. It's this fascinating quirk of human psychology. The subconscious responds strictly to emotional conviction, and it entirely ignores empty verbal repetition. Which brings us to Section 3, the cost of desperation. Why obsession actually signals lack. If you wake up and immediately check your phone for movement, or you panic when your 3D reality hasn't changed overnight, you are completely dependent on evidence. And by doing that, you're subconsciously affirming to yourself that you still do not have what you desire. In stark contrast, the pro manifestor moves through life with this strange emotional nonchalance. They don't need constant evidence because they already embody certainty naturally.
Now, this emotional nonchalance is essentially a calm detachment. And to be clear, detachment is not giving up on your goals. It's actually just that you no longer perceive yourself as separate from your outcome. You've emotionally normalized your desires way before they physically arrive. Obsession comes from a place of fear, but true certainty feels incredibly calm.
Let's dive into Section 4, the nervous system trap. Familiarity over happiness.
This is where the whole concept becomes grounded in pure observable psychology rather than fantasy. Ironically, as humans, we often prefer a miserable certainty over a happy uncertainty. Your mind actively protects the identity it believes is safest. So if you're raised around instability or you're accustomed to struggle and rejection, your nervous system is actually going to value that familiar suffering way more than unfamiliar success. This is exactly why people manifest in bursts. They get the relationship or the money and then unconsciously sabotage the whole thing. Their external reality changed, but their nervous system's baseline didn't. Therefore, manifestation is essentially the gradual collapse of that psychological resistance. It is definitely not some magical process of attracting objects to you. It's the slow, deliberate dissolving of deeply wired subconscious barriers. When that emotional resistance finally dissolves, your external reality naturally accelerates to catch up.
Section 5, Identity Architecture. Deliberately constructing a new self.
Identity architecture means you're treating this process not as some frantic emergency survival tactic to escape a life you hate, but as the deliberate construction of a new internal self. A failed manifestor is basically just paddling away from their current reality as fast as they can. But the pro manifestor treats this as intentional, calculated architecture. They aren't pretending, they aren't forcing toxic positivity. They are repeatedly embodying a different self until it becomes psychologically natural. So how do we actually build this? It's done through energetic congruence. First, you have to carry certainty before the evidence even exists. Second, you make your decisions from a place of confidence, never fear. And third, you think from abundance long before it physically shows up. Notice how highly successful people often carry the posture of success way before their bank account actually reflects it? They achieve that internal congruence first.
To give this the existential weight it truly deserves,
Reality responds not to what you perform occasionally, but to what you consistently embody. Reality eventually conforms to the identity you rehearse most consistently. You absolutely cannot act out a ritual for 10 minutes a day, spend the other 23 hours of your day embodying lack, and actually expect your life to change.
And embodying this consistently requires serious emotional discipline. With reactive emotion, one bad day destroys your belief. One unanswered text triggers massive insecurity, leaving you completely controlled by the outer world. But true emotional discipline means deeply understanding that the outer world is merely delayed feedback from your previous states of consciousness. It's just an echo of who you used to be. Knowing this allows you to remain entirely stable when reality temporarily contradicts your vision. You simply hold the architecture steady.
Which brings us to Section 6, Transformation over Technique, Becoming over Getting.
We finally arrive at the ultimate conclusion here. Manifestation is entirely about transformation. The pro-manifestor stops asking the desperate question, why isn't the outcome here yet? And instead asks a much better question. Who must I become internally for this desire to feel completely natural? Because once it feels natural, the resistance is entirely gone.
It's all about becoming someone whose reality could naturally hold the things you desire. Manifestation is not truly about attracting objects or relationships or status. It's about transforming the self that experiences reality. So I'll leave you with this final thought. The moment you stop chasing manifestations to complete you and begin becoming the version of yourself that naturally aligns with them, how quickly do you think your reality will start responding differently?